Yo, here we are back again with part 2 of UK Visit Visa. So thank you so much for your support, and here we're gonna, without wasting time, discuss the second part of this video. If you had a refusal for UK Visit Visa, or it can be refusal for any other application, please watch this video and it's worth a while. So we're gonna discuss in this video is whether you should own a property, whether does it make any difference if you own a property to convince the caseworker, or if you don't own a land, how you can, on the balance of probabilities, convince the caseworker that most likely you're a genuine visitor in UK. And another thing we will be looking at is the declaration form has to for sponsorship, and also the witness statement. Sorry, my apologies, it says personal statement. So what is personal statement? I'll go through one by one and I'll discuss with you how you can make a best personal statement which can be convincible to caseworker that you are a genuine visitor. So before we make a personal statement, we should be very well aware of the importance of personal statement. What is personal statement? I've already mentioned, clearly explained it in my first video. If you have not seen my part 1, please go back, watch the part 1 video and then back to part 2 of this video. So the personal statement is basically you're going to convince the caseworker. It can be visit visa, it can be dependent or any other visa. You are basically trying to write everything what you got to convince the caseworker. As I have attached, this personal statement is by the sponsor. So if you got no one to sponsor you in United Kingdom, you can amend this and you can change that as to your tourism or your purpose of coming to UK. For example, if you got, we will realistically think about this, is that you got someone to sponsor you from United Kingdom in this case. So if you got someone, you have to state in this personal statement that you will be traveling to see that person, how long, how many days, and how much money you got to spend, and how much money they got to offer you to help with your trip. So this statement you can read at your time. I'm not going to go through every bit of this statement, but it will help you, trust me, for your personal statement. Personal statement for a UK visit visa. If you look at this statement, first of all, you have to explicitly state your name, address, and country's name, and then date it, and you're going to address it not to the caseworker, you're going to address it to the entry clearance officer. So if you are based in, for example, India, you're going to say British High Commission to India. If you are, for example, to Pakistan, you're going to say to Islamabad, Pakistan, whatever the address is. So you're going to address it to the visa officer, visit visa for XY. So you're going to start it where it is to why you are writing this. So you are writing this for in the support of the applicant. So you have to explicitly state this without jumping into somewhere else, which I usually do. Well, so for example, if you are applying for a visitor visa, you have to explicitly state how long the applicant gonna stay for a visit. So if you don't state how long it's gonna be, then the caseworker more likely will not be convinced that you are a genuine visitor. So once you have stated your name, address, the country, and your purpose of the visit, then you have to tell the journey's time limit. For example, it's 6 months to 1 month. I personally will say if you are applying for first time, you always go for less than 1 month. You don't go more than 2 months, because if you apply again, is always advantages. You also tell the relationship if you got a sponsor in the United Kingdom. If you don't have sponsor, then you explain the reason why you are coming to United Kingdom. If you're coming for a tourism, you have to explain what you are looking to explore in that period. So once we have done that, I will be looking as to is the how and who gonna manage your bills. If you got any bills or traveling cost, and how you're gonna manage it. If you got a bank statement, you have to say I got savings and I got income from my employer. If you are working, if you got a business, you have to explain this, that you got a business and you earn that much of money from your business. You might have already attached these things. For example, you might have attached your bank statement, you might have attached all these invoices, but that is not enough. You have to explain that in your personal statement. What is that for? If you don't convince the caseworker in your personal statement, he might look at them in a different eye. He might infer different things. So you don't want him to think something which you don't want him. Then you have to explicitly state that in the personal statement, that you want the caseworker to think what you have already stated in your personal statement. They don't go after their own assumptions. They will always look at your personal statement and your evidence, and they're gonna relate them and see whether you got a genuine story and you're a genuine visitor. Another document you will see is the declaration form. So declaration form, as you will see on the screen in a minute, and this is where you basically convince the caseworker, the Home Office, that you gonna cover the unfortunate events, and you are declaring to Home Office that you are the person who will be liable. Technically, this is not an under oath statement, but Home Office will not ask for it, but you are trying to convince, to give them an additional document to convince them that you are basically a genuine sponsor, and you are convincing the Home Office to allow the applicant to come and see you. And this is like, for example, in this document you see is you are asking the Home Office in any unfortunate events. For example, the applicant needs a medical treatment and he's shortage of money, you can cover that cost and you can give them a surety on this. And second is, if for example the applicant dies, touch wood, it never happens, but in that case you can imagine the cost of the funeral can be from 5,000 to 10,000 pound, and you are again giving the surety in kind of declaration to the Home Office that you will be covering that cost too. And that statement is signed under oath, and same is as to the witness statement. These two documents are additional as to the basic checklist documents. So if you put them in, you are trying to convince the caseworker. Remember, I told you in the beginning in part 1, and I'm reminding you again on this point, the onus means the responsibility is on you to prove your case. So if you are applying or your loved one is applying from back home, it is on you to convince the caseworker. So don't ever assume that the caseworker will allow your applicant or your loved one to enter United Kingdom without you convincing them. So if you don't convince them, they're not gonna allow the visa. And that's how it works. It works on the rule is balance of probabilities. So the balance of probability is the rule, that is the chances, whether highly likely that person is genuine visitor or not. I hope that video was very helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave that in the comment box and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching the video. See you later.